about West Virginia?
Well, first off, I'm extremely excited to continue our play. Our team did a very nice job yesterday against a very good team in Georgia Tech in executing our game plan. West Virginia is a team that obviously when you look at their guard play, Holmes has really done a nice job as far as setting the tone as a go-to player for them. Caldwell, she's explosive with the basketball. She's very good with her mid-range game and playing off the bounce, and then their supporting cast, they just execute coach's game plan. They're a very good team in transition. And so our transition defense has got to be key. So taking care of the basketball, again, another area that we've got to be very committed to doing. And also getting on the offensive glass. We've got to make sure that we're giving ourselves opportunities to rebound the basketball. But this group, they are motivated, and our team is very excited to be able to play another game.
We could raise our hands. We'll get a microphone to you. Tommy with Student Media will start us off.
Tommy Romanock, the Daily Reveille. So Albany fell behind 17 points in the first half, but they were able to put together a run and I believe get to at least 5 points in that game. What did you see in that run that showed you something that you can do against this West Virginia defense?
I saw an Albany team that didn't quit. They played with a lot of energy. They picked up their pressure defensively and really tried to disrupt West Virginia. They trapped a little bit more, which I thought that gave West Virginia a challenge at times. And then also Albany did a nice job of really establishing their inside play. They were very determined to get the ball inside, and it worked for them. So, paint points is going to be key. And then Albany also started to give themselves opportunities to score the basketball by taking care of the basketball, because West Virginia defensively, they bring a lot of pressure to the ball handler. They don't make it easy for you to enter the basketball to the wings or to the high post. So ball security was key for West Virginia, for Albany to get back into that game.
If you wouldn't mind, could we direct the questions to the student athletes? They have just a 15-minute window.
Okay. Then, Teresa, just going up against an all Big 12 player in Asia Bussey, what have you seen from her so far in scouting the Mountaineers, and what kind of challenges do you feel that she presents to you?
Well, I feel like their team is, all around, an all around great team, and she's obviously, they're obviously led by Bussey. She does a great job of controlling the tempo for them. They go as she goes, so we just need to have a great defensive effort against this team, and especially her, if we have any shot of, pulling this win out.
Next question, Matt Boudreaux.
Jean, you have been on both sides of this game where you lost and you didn't get to move on, and then last year, of course, you move on. I know it's one extreme to the next, but can you summarize the emotions and the differences in the two?
Well, honestly, this is my first second-round game I've ever played. So I didn't really play last year. I was kind of out. But so I'm really excited to be here and just to put my jersey on one more time, at the very least. I'm glad to be able to do that. But I guess just to move on is an experience in itself. I mean, you have 32 teams that are already out. So I'm just very honored to be able to wear my LSU jersey again.
Deshaun, just back here, looking at this West Virginia team, I know your coach just talked about how top to bottom it's a really good group, but in scouting them, I'm sure that you've come across the depth that they have, the players that they can bring in case of foul trouble or just to give somebody a breather. What sort of challenges does that present your team, just seeing such a deep opponent that you're going to be facing?
They have a really deep bench, but I think we have a really deep bench too. So I'm not really sure if that's really an issue for us.
For the ASAP, that last answer came from Deshaun Harden. Next question.
Hi, it's Brett with AP. I guess any of the players could answer this one, whoever feels most comfortable, but I was curious about when you look at your scoring total, which was a season high and all-time tournament high for LSU, how much do you think that was a product of the style of game, or do you think there was something more to it in the context of the team's development throughout the season?
Can we start with Jean Kinney and we'll move down from Danielle to Teresa?
I actually believe yesterday we carried out our game plan. I mean, it has to be the first game we stuck to our game plan for the entire game. Sorry, Coach. But
We'll take that one.
that's on us. But our game plan was to be aggressive, and we did a very, very good job of it. It's been difficult for the season in its entirety to put together 40 minutes, but I really do think we played a collective game yesterday, and just pushing the tempo. I mean, we were extremely effective in transition and in our transition offense, and everyone was committed to running from Teresa to Shanice to all of our guards. I mean, we really were, and if you get your bigs running, you have to reward them. Personal opinion. So.
Good job, John.
Thanks.
Todd Murray, Dominion Post. Teresa, I think it was last year in the FIU tournament you played West Virginia. Basically the same West Virginia team. They only lost one player. What do you remember about that game?
Well, I don't remember much about that game. I remember that I was very sick prior to that, and I wasn't feeling too well that entire weekend. It kind of ruined my little Miami trip. What I do remember is that they were extremely aggressive. Offensively, they really pushed tempo, and if their shots weren't falling, they had 5 to the boards every time, and they were just determined to get that offensive rebound, and which I feel like is the same team that they have this year. All 5 crashing the boards, and they're really looking for that offensive rebound, which is a really tough thing to defend. Also, they do a really great job on defense and pressuring, our guard play and, trying to take away the high posts. So that's going to be, a challenge for us to, work around. So, they have a lot of similarities from this year to last year. And, I feel like they're very worthy of their seeding and their spot because they're a very, very tough team to contend with.
Scott Reveille.
Scott Reveille with The Advocate. I guess, Deshaun, this subject's been brought up before, but I haven't asked you. You guys, it's been mentioned about the pressure, and Georgia Tech pressured y'all yesterday, and y'all committed 23 turnovers, but it doesn't seem to faze you as it would. You tied a record. If you have a lot of turnovers, you might as well have a record, right? You tied an NCAA tournament record for the team. It doesn't seem to faze you guys. Why not? How are y'all able to overcome the turnovers and still get the game plan executed, as Jan said?
You just have to keep playing, and if you let the turnovers phase you, then that's when they just keep coming. But I guess they kept coming anyway. But just keep playing and not really worry about if you turn the ball over or not, just trying to get back on defense.
This question is for Deshaun. This is Kara Capuano from ESPN. Not to discredit the hard work of your seniors in that first game because the trio was amazing, but your play, Danielle, what did LSU show about what's next for the Tigers in that first game of the NCAA tournament?
I think that yesterday was just something that we should have been doing all year, like how we can play. Like we haven't been playing at our best, and I think we all just decided to show up yesterday. And basically, that's the team that we are. So it didn't surprise us because we know how we can play. And I think that's just the beginning of what's going to continue throughout the tournament.
Can I get you guys to talk into the mics or move the mic closer to you, please?
This follow-up is for Jean now, to focus a little bit on the play of the seniors and specifically your play. You had a looseness and a kind of memories of Pistol Pete type flash that you just looked like you were having a lot of fun out there. Was that a case of a senior knowing that this is the last chance to show out for Tiger Nation, or what elevated your play yesterday? There was just no tentative in your game.
Well, that comparison is a bit strong, but thank you for that. But I just think our game plan was to be aggressive, and we carried that out. And I was having fun, and that's something that you always have to remember, that it's just a game. And I do think that the whole thing of it being my last game that could have happened. But I mean, we were that chemistry that we had was so great with everybody. Like, everybody had that chemistry, and you couldn't help but smile. You couldn't help but, I mean, those 50-50 balls, those passes that probably shouldn't have made them were happening just because we were going hard, we were playing together, and that it just came to us, but we were very fortunate yesterday.
Teresa, would you like to follow up on the finality of possibly playing your final game, what that was like?
Just the realness of, there really is no tomorrow unless you give it your all today. That really sunk in yesterday that, this is really, they say play every game like it's your last, but, really every game from here on out could be, my last game. And LSU means the world to me, and, this is a place that I wish I could stay forever, but, Coach. It's pulling at my heart that one day I'm going to have to hang up my jersey, and I'm going to do whatever I can to prolong that. And I know the seniors feel the same way, that we just LSU just has a special place in our heart. Like they say, you bleed purple and gold when you come here. That's an absolute true statement. So, that just had a big part of, our competitive spirit. And I know our underclassmen, care a lot about, our class, and, they want us to go out on a good note. So we have a good group of underclassmen fighting pretty hard for us, too.
A couple more minutes with the student athletes. Chris in the back.
Chris Hagan with WAFB TV. This one's for John. On what you said just now with the chemistry of this team and how you guys played yesterday, is this closer to the team when you peaked in your best SEC play with anybody can have a big night out there?
I would say that, but I would also agree with Deshaun on how everyone just came out to play, and we know we've been capable of playing this way all season, but we haven't been able to put all the pieces together. And I think a lot of our pieces came together last night. And, I mean, you just saw genuine care for each other out on the court, and it didn't matter who scored. We had 98 points, so everybody scored, basically. But it didn't matter if you were the passer or the scorer at that point. And whenever you can get that, especially when you're in the NCAA tournament, when it's win or go home, that's a special moment. I don't know if I answered that question, but
Scott in the back.
John, just to clarify, you did play in the second round game 2 years ago against Penn State, did you not?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay.
It's the concussions, sorry.
Okay.
We lost, so I don't really equate that. I did play. Oh, I forgot that.
Obviously,
Wow.
West Virginia is seated where they are for a reason. They won their conference, but you guys do have two things on them: your home court advantage and the experience factor. They don't have any players who have been past this round of the tournament before. So how can those things help you in tomorrow night's game? Those two factors.
I think that the energy that our fans bring is just so electrifying, and I've said it so many times, but they really are a sixth man on the court, and they help us out tremendously. But I also think, West Virginia is not here by fluke. They're a great team. They're a 2 seed, and their record proves that. and the personnel that they have, though, I mean, I do think experience comes into play, but I also think that when it comes to NCAA, everyone's going to play their best, whether you have the experience or not. You're just going to go out and play, and I think that's when individually you're at your best. When sometimes you can't think about everything, you just got to go out and play. And I mean, we're all Division I players, so you should be able to have the skill set to just go out and play and do your thing. But I mean, West Virginia is a very good team, and they're going to challenge us. But you know, we're always up for that challenge.
Time for one more question for the ladies. Ladies, thank you for your time today. Best of luck. We'll release you. We'll open up the floor now for Coach Nikki Caldwell. Questions?
Coach, I know there are a lot of teams in your league that play really aggressive in your face, man defense. I'm wondering what your impressions are of WVU in that regard, because that is sort of what Mike Carey has hung his hat on defensively through the years in building that program.
I'll tell you, their defense can really disrupt you offensively with your rhythm, and we're a rhythm team, and so the flow of the game, we're going to have to make sure that we're meeting every pass, that we're, as a receiver, you're putting yourself in the position to get open, because they do an extremely great job of denying one pass away. They will play uphill on our post game, so they're taking away wing entry, post entry. So we've got to be creative in our offensive attack. You know, in the SEC, there's so many teams that play that way or have that style of play. I know Kentucky is that way. We've played A&M. Tennessee can get after you. And obviously, you know, Georgia guard play, they also defensively can disrupt your guards. And you can keep going down the list. Mississippi State, there's so many great defensive teams in our league. So I hope, or through our experience, that we are going to be prepared to face this defense. But at this time of year, I think Kenny was trying to allude to it, it's going to be about your attitude. Because you can pressure us, or you can pack it in, or you can zone us, or man-to-man. What is your attitude as a basketball player when you know that you have one game guaranteed and you only have 40 more minutes left to play in your career for our seniors? So are you going to work extremely hard to open up those passing lanes? Are you going to be that team that plays aggressively against an aggressive defensive team, or are you going to be passive? So the attitude of our team, I hope, will be the attitude of a warrior.
Coach, you talk about Reggie Moncrief's status. What is she going through today in terms of evaluation, and what is Dario Youngblood's status with the team right now?
As of right now, we've got Moncrief. She will go and see the doctors today around noon, so we'll have more of an update with her situation. So we're very hopeful with having her back. And Dario Youngblood is suspended from the team for team violations, and we will obviously continue to focus in on the task at hand. And this group has done a great job of coming together and playing this game still with Darielle in mind, and obviously with or without Moncrief, we're still going to play this game with those two and carry them with us.
Hello, Brett Martell with AP. When you talk about offensive creativity that will be required tomorrow, how do you think Ballard's kind of dynamic all-court skills combined with Kenny's Pistol Pete, alley-oop passes and fake passes for transition layups and so forth will help in that regard?
I think it'll be to our advantage, because they're playing the game very relaxed, and they're not fast-forwarding the process. They're enjoying every moment of being an LSU Tiger. And Jean is a very emotional player, and she gambles a lot. And I give her 2 a game. She gets 1.5, and so she knows she can take those risks. But I also know with Jean and Danielle, they're the type of kids who you want to have the ball in their hands. They've shown that they can not only, attack to score for themselves, or Jean Kinney spotting up for a 3 to open up the game, but they also can pass the basketball. So they're great playmakers for us. And that's what we're going to have against a very talented West Virginia team. And I like Ballard being able to attack off the bounce because that's who she is. So allowing our kids to play to their strength, I think that's going to be key for us.
Michael Cobble in the back.
Yeah, Michael Cobble, WBRZ. Coach, you talked about this back-to-the-wall mentality and a warrior effort that you want. Is that something that has brought this team together, maybe that it hasn't seen prior to this point? And is that something that maybe as a coach you wish would have come sooner rather than later?
No, I think the season is what it's supposed to be, and we're where we're supposed to be. And we've had some great 20-minute, 30-minute games this season. We just hadn't had 40. And if we were playing 30 minutes, we probably could win a lot more games. But with that being said, this team has evolved in such a way where they found their way. And as a head coach, the only thing that you can do is you can provide, basically, I tell them, I said, I'll give you a shell. Like we'll shell our offense and we'll shell our defense. But it's really up to the components to make it work. So it's not what we run, it's how we run it. It's not what defensive scheme we're running, it's how hard you're going to play it. We're choosing to play every possession like it's our last. And when you have your team with that type of sense of urgency, they just got to maintain it. And if we can maintain it for this 40 minutes on Tuesday night, then we have a better shot of winning. But if we deviate from it and we don't have that warrior mentality, or as we call it, we label it, it's like, it's like the acronym for NBA. We're not talking about the National Basketball Association. We're talking about no babies are allowed here. So when you get to the NCAA tournament, you got to have that type of mentality. And that's what we've been really trying to instill in our student athletes.
Jeff with West Virginia Illustrated on the platform.
Coach, you talked earlier about Bria Holmes in your opening statement, but for her to go 1 of 12 from three-point range, still have 20 points, and you have Crystal Caldwell with 26 leading the way. That guard combination and their versatility, what kind of problems does that pose to your team, and what have you seen from them so far?
Well, that combination, I mean, that's a tough combination to defend. I mean, you got 2 kids who are very good in the open court, and their ability to score the basketball multiple ways. Holmes with the spot up 3, although she didn't make a lot of threes. I think she only made 1, but she had some great looks. And so you can't run the risk of, well, will she be off again against us? And so that would be at 6 a.m. But we just want to make sure that we're aware of where she's at all times, because she is very explosive. And then Caldwell, I'm wondering if she's related to me. I've got to find out, because her game, she's got her skills are very good, and mine were okay back in the day too. So I'm gonna claim her, but no, I think she's an exceptional mid-range player. Like her ability to play off the bounce, and she's a great athlete, and so those 2 really do a nice job. And you go as your guard play go, and West Virginia they have 2 very, very explosive guards in those 2.
Coach, Drew Rubenstein with the Dominion Post, and you've obviously been a part of a number of great teams and great programs, and wondering if there's any common denominators there, and kind of looking at West Virginia, a program that's trying to get over the hump, if you will, into the Sweet 16, and Do you get the sense that they're close to getting over that hump?
Oh, of course. I think West Virginia has shown through their body of work this year that, one, they are worthy of a number 2 seed, and that they've shown that they can not only play with the best teams in the country but beat them. You have potential All-American type players on your roster. That gives you an advantage there when you can go to multiple players. But their team they're playing extremely hard on the defensive end, and they believe in their defensive scheme and their defensive system, and so you see how they can disrupt you and turn you over and execute on the offensive end. And players are playing together. No one is the body language of the team is very positive. No one is, even if when you look at Holmes not making a lot of those threes, they were still trying to find her. So that says a lot about their cohesion as a team.
Front row.
Nikki, one of the interesting things about the first half of that Albany-West Virginia game was Albany shot 55%, but they were still down 17 because they committed 11 turnovers and they shot 3 for 11 from the free throw line. Now, you've been practicing the fundamentals, throughout these past few weeks. Do you think that's going to really benefit you? Because this seems like an opportunity you can have if you just, make your free throws, take care of the ball.
Well, the free throws, I was very proud of our group for making free throws and really doing a nice job of I think Ballard really did a nice job of knocking down hers, and as a team we shot a very high percentage. The taking care of the basketball, that's been something that has, what's the identity of an LSU team? Well, we're going to turn it over 20 times, and we joke about it with our kids because I feel as though that they don't intentionally go into games wanting to turn it over. It's just that they have the freedom, they have the play action that allows multiple people to touch the basketball. I mean, if we wanted to limit our turnovers, all we need to do is just keep the ball in one person's hand and just say milk the clock, then go. But because we want to develop our kids, and it's just not about them, just our seniors, it's about allowing our underclassmen to have that freedom and to make those mistakes, because through those mistakes you will grow as a basketball player. We had 23, 24 turnovers in our last game. And I tell them, I said, but if you're going to turn it over that many times, then you need to force that many turnovers as well, because we need to cancel that out. And if we can balance or, tip the scales a little bit in our favor, then, that stat line doesn't really affect us as much. We also talk about having good turnovers versus bad turnovers. And so I said, let's try to at least have half of our turnovers be good turnovers. And they know what that means. They know what that means. So we definitely have addressed it, and we have done everything from 2-ball passing to medicine ball passing to just goggles and what have you. We're going to get better as an LSU basketball program in that area. We're still young. When I look at our team, we've got 3 seniors, but we're very young at the guard play, and so we're going to have those challenges. But it won't be a matter of us not trying to get it back on the other end. And so that's what I'm looking for, because to me that builds their character.
Matt in the back row.
Hey, Coach. Do you remember the last 2 second-round games here?
Yes, I do.
Would you just summarize the emotions between the two of staying here at home and then not moving on? And do you feel like those experiences have helped you now that even if you're the lower seed, you feel like you still have a good shot?
I think this time of year it's anybody's game to take. I think when you look at us having a veteran squad, we got four players who played really valuable minutes last year from that team, and they have a taste of it. They know what they can accomplish, and that feeling. So it's in there, that feeling of advancing and winning that second round game, and knowing the next step. Are we going to be starving for that again, or are we just going to be hungry? Because I think there's a big difference when you're hungry versus starving. And so I hope we're starving for it. and that the team that wants it the most will come up with the victory tomorrow.
Also, have you given any thought, if you move on, will Dario Youngblood be back, or do you know how long that suspension will be?
Right now, the suspension is dated, is not a suspension that's where she's going to be back immediately.
This will be our last question.
Can you take two more? Because he has one too.
We're at 15 minutes.
Okay.
Quick.
Just real quick, I wanted your take on my question about scoring, how much of it was game specific and how much of it was a bigger picture thing, the high scoring. And second, did you notice that there was actually a lot of relatively high scoring across the women's tournament in the first round, and what might cause that?
I think the one thing about the scoring for us in our game was we did not want to set up our offense versus their defense. And so that was very scout specific, that we wanted to be aggressive and attack as many times as we can against their pressure in the full court and in the half court. Playing against a 2-1-2 defense, which you call the buzz defense, where they trap. There's not really an offense that you run where you say, okay, I'm going to come all balls on the wing, set a ball screen, whatever. It's more of a mentality of player placement to get a score. So some of our action was 1-2 passes, score it. So we had been practicing against that type of pressure. So, but again, the players have to go out and execute it. And I thought that they played and executed our game plan to perfection on the offensive end. High scores around the country. You got great players and players that can make plays, and then when they get on the roll this time of year, you're not seeing a lot of people lose those leads. And so that's I think and then I think that when you're down 10, 20, it's hard to come back from that because you're maybe putting a little bit more pressure on yourself this time of year, knowing it's your last go around. So that may have something to do with it. So I just hope that we're not down.
Last shot from Scott.
You might be a couple of players down tomorrow night. You have a propensity to turn the ball over. Last year, you beat Penn State with 7 healthy players. You guys kind of have a little drama that goes along with you sometimes. But
we're women.
I wasn't going to say that.
I know you men have drama too.
Of course, your players seem
more than women, but y'all won't admit it.
Y'all seem to deal with it somehow, and end up winning most of the time. How are you able to do that?
We're women. I mean, no. I think the one thing about women is we adapt, and we have to. We have to adapt to you and men and everybody else. But no, these young ladies, they've been through so many different things and challenges, and this is just one more thing that they're going to add to their college experience. And as long as they understand that every day, okay, regardless of what happens tomorrow, and I tell them this all the time, the sun's still going to come up. So it's just our mentality and our approach to postseason. I think we're a team that we're considered the underdog, and I told them, I said, that's fine. No one really thinks about that when you go on and you're cutting down nets. Who was the underdog? Well, they just look at you and you gain that respect and that momentum as you continue to advance. And it is about, gaining that respect. And we're trying to establish that respect here at LSU, or reestablish it, because obviously this program has been rich in tradition and winning and going to 5 consecutive Final Fours. That's what we're trying to get this team back to, this program back to. Because I thought, when you look at Sue Gunner and what she's meant to the women's game, I just hope that we're, getting a smile down from her, and we're trying to do things the way that she would approve.
Coach, very gracious of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'll bring the donuts at 6 tomorrow.
All right, at the track. I'll see you there.
We'll have Mike Carey and select West Virginia players.